Some battles aren't fought with bullets. Some wars are won by those willing to be hated, to be broken, to be nothing in the eyes of everyone watching. This is the story of a woman who became a ghost so that heroes could live. This is the story of Lieutenant Kara Holdgren. The Alaskan wilderness doesn't forgive weakness. At -40 degrees, the wind doesn't just bite, it devours. Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson sits like a fortress of ice and steel where America's most elite warriors train for missions that don't officially exist. And on this frozen morning, one of those warriors was pretending to fall apart. Kara Holdgren's fingers fumbled with the radio equipment again. Third time this morning. Around her, SEAL Team 7 moved like a machine, each man a masterpiece of precision and power. And there she was, the broken cog, the liability, the mistake that somehow got assigned to the most dangerous unit in the military. The voice that cut through the Arctic air could freeze blood. Lieutenant Holdgren. General William "Billy" Mitchell stood 10 feet away, and even through layers of gear, his fury was unmistakable. This man had survived Afghanistan's mountains and Iraq's deserts. He'd earned his stars in blood and sand. And right now, he was staring at what he believed was his greatest failure. "That's the third time you've compromised our position," Mitchell's words were surgical, precise, designed to cut deep. "The cold is affecting the equipment," Kara stammered, playing her role perfectly. She let her shoulders slump, let doubt cloud her eyes. For 3 weeks she'd been doing this, 3 weeks of calculated failure, of swallowing pride with every mistake. But what General Mitchell didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the real Kara Holdgren existed in classified files that only 3 people in the Pentagon had clearance to read. Those files told a different story. They spoke of a woman who could assemble a sniper rifle blindfolded in 12 seconds, who spoke 7 languages fluently, who'd completed missions in places that would never appear on any map. "We're preparing for operations in the Arctic Circle," Mitchell continued, his voice dropping to that dangerous quiet that's worse than shouting. "If you can't handle basic communications in training, you'll get my entire team killed in the field." Around them, the other SEALs had stopped their drills. They were watching. Judging. Some with pity, most with contempt. Kara lowered her eyes, the picture of defeat. The military had taught her to fight, but her real training had taught her something harder: how to lose. How to be small. How to let men like Mitchell see exactly what they expected to see while she hunted for the monster hiding among them. Because somewhere in this frozen fortress, someone was selling secrets. Satellite surveillance had caught unauthorized transmissions beaming classified Arctic defense coordinates to unknown recipients. The Pentagon suspected Mitchell's unit, but suspicion wasn't enough. They needed proof. They needed someone who could get close, someone the traitor would underestimate completely. They needed a ghost. "Pack your gear," Mitchell ordered, each word sharp as the icicles forming on the command post. "You're done here. I won't have weak links in my chain." This was the moment. Kara had pushed him to the edge, made herself so incompetent that dismissal was inevitable. But not yet. Not before she found what she came for. "General, please." She injected desperation into her voice, the sound of a career dying in the cold. "I know I can improve. Just give me one more chance." She could see Mitchell's jaw tighten, see the war behind his eyes. His team was training for something critical, something involving new Russian military installations above the Arctic Circle. They couldn't afford delays. "One more chance," he finally said, and each word cost him something. "But if you fail again, Lieutenant, there will be consequences. This isn't some stateside desk job. Lives depend on every member of this team performing flawlessly." As Kara nodded, clutching the radio like a lifeline, she caught movement in her peripheral vision. Someone in the command post had been watching through binoculars. The same someone who'd been present during every one of her staged failures. The trap was working. Tomorrow's live-fire exercise would change everything. Tomorrow, the real mission would begin. She just had to survive one more day of being hated. One more day of being the failure. Sometimes the hardest thing a warrior can do isn't fight. It's fall. Dawn in the Arctic isn't gentle. It comes like a wound opening in the darkness, revealing truths you'd rather not see. At 0500 hours, SEAL Team 7 assembled for what should have been a routine live-fire exercise. Kara Holdgren positioned herself at the communications post, deliberately tangling antenna wires while Mitchell's men prepared to breach a mock enemy installation. Then the first real bullet shattered the ice next to Mitchell's head. Contact. This isn't a drill. Master Chief Rodriguez's scream cut through the frozen air as automatic weapons fire erupted from the ridgeline. The training rounds in their weapons were useless against attackers using live ammunition. Real bullets. Real blood. Real death. Kara's entire world shifted, but she forced herself to stay in character, fumbling with the radio as chaos exploded around her. I can't reach base, the equipment is. Mitchell's hand connected with her face. The strike was fueled by pure desperation as his men scrambled for cover, armed with blanks while facing an execution squad. 2 SEALs were already down, their blood painting abstract horror across pristine snow. The attackers moved with military precision, cutting off every escape route. Someone had leaked not just the exercise location but the exact timing, the exact positions. This wasn't random. This was an assassination. Kara watched Mitchell's face transform as understanding dawned. His training exercise had become a death trap, and somewhere in the chaos was the man who'd sold them out. "Sir, we need to move." Rodriguez dragged a wounded SEAL behind a concrete barrier as enemy forces advanced. They were outnumbered 3-1, holding toy weapons while facing a firing squad. Then Kara saw him. Lieutenant Morrison, Mitchell's trusted intelligence officer, speaking into a satellite phone that definitely wasn't standard issue. His lips moved in Russian, confirming coordinates, sealing the coffin. The situation deteriorated with brutal speed. Enemy forces pinned them in crossfire, methodically tightening the noose. Petty Officer Chen made a desperate run for the weapons cache and took 2 rounds to the chest. His body hit the snow like a puppet with cut strings, and his final cry echoed across the battlefield before silence swallowed him whole. "We're going to die here," someone whispered, and the terror in those words was absolute. Mitchell made the only choice left to him. "Holdgren, you run. Get to base. Get help. The rest of US will hold them off." It was a suicide order. Without real weapons, they'd be slaughtered in minutes. Mitchell was sending away the one person he considered worthless while preparing to die with the men he valued. Morrison appeared at Mitchell's shoulder like a vulture. "Sir, I found the weapons cache, training exercise emergency supplies. This way." He gestured toward a storage bunker 50 meters away, directly in the kill zone. The trap within the trap. 3 SEALs followed Morrison's directions, trusting their brother in arms. They made it 20 meters before concealed machine guns opened fire. Bodies fell like broken dolls, and the snow turned crimson. Mitchell's anguished cry could have shattered stone. Half his team was dead or dying. Morrison had vanished in the chaos, his betrayal complete. Rodriguez pressed his personal sidearm into Mitchell's hand. 5 rounds, sir. Make them count. The general looked at his dying men, at the enemy closing in for the kill, at Kara Holdgren cowering by the useless radio. The weight of failure, of betrayal, of death crushed down on him like an avalanche. "Positions," Mitchell ordered, his voice hollow. "We make our stand here." The final assault was beginning. In 60 seconds, they'd all be dead. The enemy advanced in perfect formation, weapons raised for killing shots. Mitchell gripped his pistol with frozen fingers, ready to make his last 5 rounds matter. That's when Lieutenant Kara Holdgren stopped playing dead. In one fluid motion, she rolled behind the communications equipment and emerged with a concealed weapons case. The incompetent officer assembled a customized Arctic warfare sniper rifle in 3 seconds flat. Her first shot dropped the enemy commander at 800 meters. The second and third eliminated the machine gun crews before anyone could process what was happening. "Stay down," she barked, and her voice carried the authority of someone who'd never been weak at all. The ghost had just become death itself. Mitchell watched the impossible unfold before his eyes. The woman he'd struck, the lieutenant he'd humiliated, moved like liquid shadow across the frozen battlefield. Each shot from her rifle was a surgeon's cut, precise and final. She wasn't fighting. She was executing a choreography of death she'd practiced 1,000 times before. Morrison burst from cover, satellite phone in hand, screaming coordinates in Russian. Kara's rifle swung toward him, but Mitchell was faster. The general's pistol cracked once, and the traitor crumpled into the snow, betrayal frozen on his face forever. 5 years they'd served together. 5 years of brotherhood built on lies. "Ghost Unit, this is Spectre 7, Kara spoke into a different radio, one hidden inside the damaged equipment all along. Authentication Zulu 77. We have confirmation on the mole. Requesting immediate extraction and medical support." The remaining enemy forces, realizing their inside advantage was gone, attempted to retreat. Kara didn't let them. Moving across the ice like she was born from it, she eliminated threats with mechanical efficiency. Within 4 minutes, silence claimed the battlefield. Only the moans of wounded SEALs broke the quiet. Black helicopters materialized from the darkness, unmarked and ghost-like themselves. Medical teams poured out while Colonel Eileen Collins stepped onto the blood-stained snow. 7 dead, 5 critical, she reported. Morrison fed intelligence to Russian operatives for 2 years. This was their demonstration, killing America's elite on home soil. Mitchell stood slowly, his pistol hanging loose. The weight of what he'd done, of striking the woman who just saved their lives, settled on his shoulders like chains. "Lieutenant Holdgren, You did exactly what you were supposed to do, General," Kara interrupted, already breaking down her rifle. "My cover held until the critical moment. That's what mattered." Rodriguez, blood seeping through his jacket, laughed bitterly. 3 weeks. 3 weeks we treated you like garbage, and you just took it." His voice cracked with something between admiration and shame. "The mission required it," Kara said simply, her hands steady despite the chaos. Around them, medical teams loaded the wounded onto helicopters. Chen's body bag was carried past, a stark reminder that some prices can never be refunded. Mitchell watched his surviving men stare at Kara with something he'd never seen before. Not just respect. Recognition. She'd been willing to be nothing so they could survive being everything. She'd absorbed their contempt, their anger, their disrespect, and transformed it all into the armor that saved their lives. "Will we see you again?" Mitchell asked as Collins gestured for Kara to board the unmarked helicopter. She paused at the door, looking back at the team she'd saved by allowing them to despise her. "You never saw me, General. I was never here." As the helicopter lifted off, Mitchell found Kara's lieutenant insignia lying in the snow where she'd stood. He picked it up, the metal cold against his palm. His team gathered around him, silent in the Arctic dawn. 7 empty spaces where brothers had stood. 7 families who'd never know the whole truth. "Sometimes," Rodriguez said quietly, blood still dripping from his wounds, "the greatest courage is letting others think you're a coward." The words hung in the frozen air like a prayer. Mitchell closed his fist around the insignia. They'd never speak of this day. Official reports would tell a different story, one scrubbed of ghosts and secrets. But they'd never forget the woman who walked among them wearing weakness like a weapon. Because that's what real strength looks like sometimes. It's not always the hero charging forward with flags waving. Sometimes it's the person willing to be invisible, to be hated, to be broken, so others can live. Sometimes courage wears the face of failure and endures the weight of contempt because the mission demands it. Kara Holdgren became a ghost to hunt a traitor. But in doing so, she taught an elite team something they'd never learned in any training, that the hardest battles aren't always fought with bullets. Sometimes they're fought with pride, swallowed one insult at a time. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one everyone thinks is weak. And sometimes, just sometimes, being willing to fall is the bravest way to stand. Remember her name. Remember what she sacrificed. Because heroes don't always wear their medals on the outside. Some wear their scars where no one else can see. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.